What's up, Warsheep Warriors, and welcome back to the Warsheep Podcast. And I'm here with my special guest.
I'm Juana. How you doing?
So we're gonna do a reaction video to "It Is Giving Podcast," right? They got a clip that I'm gonna want to play real quick. It kind of just highlights a few things with the melanated or so-called black community, the relationship between men and women, and how we should really be able to view each other moving forward. So I just want to shed a little bit of light, and as always, of course, light creates what? Understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience, and patience creates unity. So let's get into this video without further ado. All right.
Is the sheep preaching hate when he says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore? If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop them. Do whatever you have to do to stop them. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back. So they said, no, he's teaching hate, he's violent.
All right. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. Let's see what we got. All right. Got everything in. We unmute that.
Partner whose lead you can trust so you don't have to be that way in the world anymore. I think that we live in a world where people are constantly, talking about the black woman. I am strong. I am resilient. And I'm also soft. And I'm also vulnerable. And I'm not going to raise my voice to my partner. And I'm not going to disrespect my man. There's certain things because of the code of Sarah, and we all have our own code, insert your name here. Because of the code of Sarah, you won't catch me doing to me. Even when I'm disrespectful, I'm not even really that disrespectful, just to me because of how strong my code is. So I think for any black man that is like, I really want to be with a black woman, but they are a little bit too tough or they're a little bit too hard. Well, when shit hits the fan, please know you have a warrior next to you because we've been through, grown through, and gone through everything. Like people see this Sarah, like this is feminine Sarah. I'm like warrior Sarah and princess Sarah. Call me Xena, the warrior princess. Really and truly dependent on what it is. If our backs are against the wall, please know you got a rider behind you. And you should hope that you would get that inside of your partnership because it's harder for a black man.
I used to believe, well, a part of me still believes that.
So what's your thoughts on that? As far as like me personally, um, I I gotta say I agree with her position on it, um, because when it comes to other cultures of women, I believe that they have not been through as much. So as far as relatability, being able to relate to a black man might be different, right? Or it might be more of a challenge. That's why a lot of women who are outside of the culture decides to take courses or college courses and things like that in order to better understand the man who they would like to be with or who they would like to marry so they can just have a better understanding of what they've been through or suffered through. And so a lot of those women do take those particular courses, but I believe that even black women should also take those type of courses to understand a black man a little bit more,
Yeah.
and culturally have a better understanding that would give them a more of a mindset of unity rather than just more of a selfish type of mentality, and always expecting black men to perform at a greater level, than what they would expect from other culture of men.
Right. Um, I agree with everything you just said. Um, I mean, since grade school, we've been taking history classes and learning about, the history of slavery here in the Americas. But I also do believe that all, like Sarah mentioned, although we are strong, we are powerful. We may have give a little kickback. Um,
A little kickback? What you mean?
just a little bit.
What you mean by that though?
You
Like a
know,
little kickback? Like what you mean? Like
yeah, like,
disagreeable sometimes?
at times because
Mm-hmm.
we've had to defend ourselves in so many parts in places in our lives,
Okay.
and that's generations to pass, right? Like that's passed down. It's in our DNA now. As a matter of fact.
It's in the DNA.
Yeah, yeah. But I also believe that women in general are like gardens. So whatever you plant is what you sow. So when I hear this negative, like these negative remarks about black women or women in general, I really do believe sometimes it's a reflection of the man she's with, um, because of the nature of a woman. We are naturally caring, loving, and very open to submitting ourselves fully. But if you don't have a partner that is creating a space for that to you know harvest, then it
Okay.
probably won't come. Yeah.
Okay, so if he's not like creating a space conducive for her to,
Mhm.
you know, thrive in that.
Mhm.
Well, but a lot of times nowadays women aren't trained to think like that.
Yeah.
They kind of mostly are out for what they can gain out of the space rather than what they contribute. So,
But I
and
think that's just a popular opinion. I
mhm.
don't. You can't tell me that a woman truly. I just can't believe a woman truly feels like that when she goes to bed at night.
Like what?
Like, I just want a nigga for money type attitude.
Man, what did they
Like,
talk though? What did people talk? Me personally, I've had personal experiences that that's what it was. And it's kind of like with a woman, right? And I understand women having a level of, I guess, compassion of understanding for each other
mhm,
in a way, and you might not be that way or think that way, right?
mhm,
But then there's women who give the majority of bad name who do think like that, who do think,
and
what can I gain?
I still think that comes from a place of trauma.
Trauma,
That's
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a trauma response. Um, they feel that way now because they've been hurt for giving the things that aren't that money can't buy,
Okay,
and being disappointed. That's just a front and a facade.
okay, okay. What type of trauma do you think that comes from?
Just being heartbroken, maybe giving up their bodies
Okay,
and feeling like because they feel like that's all they have to offer, giving it to these men and not really receiving, you know, um, the love and affection that they were longing for, or even the loyalty they would want from a man.
mm-hmm.
So you kind of give up, and they have this saying like "marry for love, not for money." Marry for money. We no longer marry for love, and that's such a trauma response to me. Like, I have family members. I have a little cousin that has that mindset right now, and she's 21, very young. I don't know what she's been
She
through.
gonna go through some shit, boy.
Yeah, I don't know what she's been through thus far. But when she mentions these type of things, I tell her all the time, yeah, you sound hurt. You sound hurt, and you have to really heal through that because money is not the most
Right.
important thing, baby girl.
Okay. So have you ever thought like that? Like,
Um,
maybe we should probably mute that. Is that your phone?
it is. Did you mute
Yeah, that shit going off
it?
now.
Did you mute it?
Yeah, yeah, you can go ahead and mute it. That thing going off. What is that, like a messenger alert?
Yeah, that's text.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of black women, I honestly gotta be honest, right? Just knowing them as the as women, right? Like I said before, or as I said before, black women are probably one of the most powerful versions of women on earth, right? And I gotta say that a lot of them that I've met have always been pretty strong, pretty strong in mentally, emotionally, things like that. The only downfall that has ever come for them is the influence of the sapphire trope or what they've been influenced to be. So the influence is the only thing that I've ever come across that has really been their downfall because they can't find any true submission to a black man, right? But they seem to kind of work a little bit better with other cultures of people that say white men, but they tend to run over white men, like right? Typically, they run them over. They just control the relationship. They dominate in that space. But majority of the time, that's just kind of what it is. You know what I mean? Like their downfall is that they try to assert themselves in that relationship and be dominant when they should be more submissive. And it's difficult for them to submit to a black man. I mean, it's just like I'm not too sure as to why, because if you were to go and take some of these classes, you would learn that a black man does have certain challenges that he has to overcome on a daily basis that other cultures of men do not have to overcome. So when people say, it takes a black man too long to get his shit together, well, you got to also know what the challenges and the obstacles are for him that are greater than other cultures of people, and the men who have overcome those obstacles are definitely somebody to be commended because they're present, they're there, they're real. It's not just something fictitious, it's real. And but you still can break through those barriers. There's it's not like it's not an option or a choice or black men are so oppressed. No, it's just that we have more challenges as men in the society. Like you'll find more as a man working a 9 to 5 as he's under heavy scrutiny from managers who are of another race, right? He's under heavy scrutiny, and when he is performing at an optimum level, then they really are scrutinizing him and trying to figure out why he's performing that well. They got stereotypes, not to say that they're racist, but they could be prejudiced. They could hold certain stereotypes about melanated men that aren't necessarily true, but of course it's been a stereotype for a while. And that most women our cultural women decide that they would prefer to treat us black men almost as though we're inferior when we are the superior version of men or males on the planet, so or on earth. um so that's just kind of my I guess my opinion on that. Like I think that once black women start to change their mindset on it, and then find a real genuine black man to invest in and to build with, that it'll be a different type of society. In fact, if you take a look at some Atlanta, we got a lot of different, cultures there that are building this black culture, that's building businesses, that's thriving and growing. You got to kind of go all the way back to even Tulsa, Oklahoma, back in 1921, where we had the economy, the economic format for the entire U.S., in which they were completely jealous of because we had doctors, we had attorneys, we had all this stuff. Our infrastructure was fortified, it was strong, and we were doing much better than them who were suffering, right? So then we have the tragedy where we're getting bombed and getting massacred and slaughtered just based on our performance and doing better here.
Success. Yeah.
Right. So, there's always some sort of setback, and then you can go over to the war on drugs, which also was a setback because now it gave authorities the ability to stop and frisk, to harass black men, to accuse them of certain crimes they probably never committed or they did commit it and were sentenced with just an excessive time, right? Yeah. 15, 20 years for grams of crack or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But an excessive amount of time, in which that took a lot of our stronger black men off the streets, right? And out of the home. as well as some of our strong and successful black leaders. You got Malcolm X, you got Huey P. Newton,
Right.
you have even Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
who were all assassinated at one point just based on CIA operatives who created an agenda to do so. You know what I mean? So, and then that took away a lot of our black leaders who were positive or reflecting a positive change within the community. So, um, once we realize each other's strengths, we can come together and be a powerful unit. You know.
And I agree with that, but I also will say to the black man, if you know that if you're very well aware and educated as, you know, Mr. Warsheep here, then sometimes it's okay to give the black woman a little grace, because the reason why she is the way she is also an agenda, and maybe we should be mad at someone else collectively, you know,
Right.
and give that some thought instead of, you know, condoning the hate that people have online for us as a people. That's not okay. And the more we feed into it, and the more you know, we have men and women looking to date outside our race because of things like attitude and tone, and you know, because she doesn't listen, or because she has kinky hair. That's we're just gonna be set back even further, and that's the goal, that's the mission. So you have to take it upon yourself and really think about, who's the problem here. Is it you and I, or do we have a bigger issue? And exactly what we're doing you know, is what they want. So
Yeah.
you know, um
Yeah.
everyone doesn't think the way I do, but um
Yeah, I mean,
it takes time.
Yeah, you got to take into consideration. Of course, it's all systematic, and they put it out there in your face, but they've trained your women to disrespect you, dishonor you, and to do what they're doing now, and they're the leaders within that culture. But you don't see any other cultures of women who are doing what they're doing. And I believe that, of course, a lot of them, it really starts within to address the issues that are coming from the black women. And a lot of times, just like what's her name again? Sarah here, she's going after the mindset of a black woman.
Right.
Like your mindset and how you think, right? Not only of black women, because there's other cultures of women who think like this too. Yeah, but she's speaking on her own behalf because she is black, she's melanated. Right. So she's speaking to her culture of women, also to other women who may think like those women. And it takes women like her to address the issues that of mindset with each other. You know what I mean? Men shouldn't have to address that with the women. The women should be able to address themselves. And I think that's been one of the biggest issues, is that a black woman won't check another black woman if she's doing something that's out of pocket. Right. You know what I'm saying? It'll have to be a man to stand alone to check this black woman, in which that black woman is going to start acting out, irate, going off, right, cussing them out, things like that, in which he can't really do a whole lot to retaliate, because the next step up is violence, right? You know, my thing is that and most men ain't gonna want to argue back and forth. You ain't got time for it. So it's like the next step up is violence. You know, us men, we understand that between each other, so we tend to want to treat each other with more respect, right? Men who are real men. But women use what their weapon is, which is
the tongue.
Right, the power of their tongue, to be able to give them a good lashing or whatever. And then knowing that he can't really do a whole lot, or else he'll be the one in jail or prison or whatever, right? Using that as a power against him and wielding it over him, right? So yeah, that's some solid things. Let's see what else you got to say about this real quick.
Black men get with white women because they're more docile. That's what I used to like.
I don't think that.
I just, because that's what, okay, well, that's what the society.
So she said black men get with white women because they may be more docile, submissive, right? is what she's saying.
Society like
I
makes
have
us
three
believe I
white
can.
sister-in-laws.
I believe you. I'm just saying, like, that's what the image that they put. Like, they don't want to deal with the black woman that's going to hold you accountable, that's going to tell you to own up to your stuff, that's going to tell you that you need to get your stuff together. The white woman's going to let you just not all people.
I don't
This is
agree.
just-
I think it's how they do it.
what do you mean?
I think inside of white culture, Caucasian culture, I think that there's less grit because they're growing up, and it's like the video that we watched before, how it's like the mom makes her son her husband, right? Because she's a single mom. She's never had a man. If you've only ever come from and you're inside of two parent family households, and you don't necessarily have to see the struggle. You actually get to see your parent because they're not working 3 jobs to keep the lights on and make sure that you can go to daycare and play in sports. And they're not as frustrated because they're not working 3 jobs to keep the lights on and make sure that you can play in sports. I think that when you understand what a lot of black people face, you would understand that there is a level of grit, but there's such a beautiful opportunity to appreciate that grit because we can get through anything. So it really goes back to, are we bitter? No, I don't even think I know any bitter people, to be completely transparent. I mean, that's not my vibration, so I don't attract that. And what was the other word she used? Bitter and what?
I'm not sure.
Bitter and I don't know, mean, strong, whatever the word is. I don't think those are the right words. I think it's people that lack vocabulary to be able to say maybe a lot of black women are a lot more masculine, and I do believe that is true. And that's not to weaponize the masculinity. It's just the truth, right? It's more of a struggle for a black woman to lay down the whatever and be like, okay, this is fine. But I do think that we as women, one of the most beautiful opportunities that we have is to choose a man that we trust. Because if you choose a man that you trust, you automatically come out of your masculine.
This is
because
true.
it's innate for us to be in our feminine. I think one of the most beautiful measures of a man is to see his girl in her feminine. Her nervous system is regulated.
Yeah.
And it's because he makes her feel so safe, so secure, so respected. You don't even really see that. More people honestly want to have a warm body in the bed at night than they do want to have good treatment and respect.
Women are like gardens.
Yes.
Like you have
What you
to
plant grows.
Right. Like the condition of your garden is the condition to how the man takes care of his garden.
What you plant grows.
Are you looking like that?
Yeah, for sure.
You give us fruit and vegetables, we will grow that. You give us
We multiply everything.
we multiply it.
Next video.
You're gonna have to mute me on a couple of these, can you?
Yeah, so of course, black women being more masculine than other cultures of women, and which I believe is true as well. But also that they have the grit, right? Because they have to deal with a little bit more.
Right.
You gotta go through a little bit more. And that they are. So, what do you think about those things when those things are being mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel as though that's who you are, or?
Oh, absolutely. Because I've seen certain things that maybe people I went to school with haven't, or been raised in a household that was a little different than, my counterparts or my coworkers. So, yeah, I can relate to what she was saying about seeing the grit, but you have to choose the way you live your life. And, when finding a partner, like she said, you do have to find someone that you can trust and that you can really feel safe in the space to submit and just, be at ease. And that can be very hard to do. I know me, myself, it just can be very hard to do it. I've come across a few good men in my life, and I can't say that I fully trusted all of them. Maybe one or two. And yeah, that's pretty,
And so that's what it takes for a woman to really open up and being her feminine. It's for a man to provide that space of security,
Right.
and
But
trust.
you also have to be ready for that. You also have to be acceptant to that.
Okay.
Because even if you do find that man that
Who
provides,
has to be ready for it?
the woman.
Okay, right.
Even
Absolutely.
if you do find the man that can provide all of those things,
Hmm.
how are you going to receive it? Are you
Right.
ready to, in turn, reciprocate the same thing
Hmm.
for the man? So.
Absolutely. Because I've been in a relationship where she literally had everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bills paid on time, don't have to worry about none of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Money's flowing through. You literally can pick and choose whatever you like to eat when you would like to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Refrigerator's full, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it still seemed as though there was an issue or a problem. The level of satisfaction, right? Being satisfied and content, even though you have it all. Like, you can literally be able to get whatever you like. You can go shopping, you can do what you like to do. And, my thing is that, because, my company, of course, was pulling in at least over six figures.
Right.
And things there was no room for you to have any issues or problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should be pretty content.
But
You would think, right? Like, you would think, like,
are you
okay,
talking just financially or
financially, of course, you're being treated well,
okay.
right? You're not being disrespected or,
Right.
tongue lashed or nothing like that,
Okay.
verbal abuse or physical abuse.
Okay.
And it seems as though you still got women, because, like, just compounded on top of your points, right? That you're saying, like, a woman has to be mentally prepared for somebody who's in that
Absolutely.
in that position.
Mm-hmm.
You still seem to find an issue or a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With that, like, how do you?
Dang.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
it's just something that you run into, I guess. You know what I mean?
I usually hear it. Of course, I usually hear it on the other side where
Right.
the woman is like providing. So I get how that may feel. That sucks because in the back of your mind you're like, dang, well, what else do I have to do, to satisfy this person? I mean,
Not satisfied.
yeah. And when you speak to these type of people, they don't even know. They can't really find an issue. It's
Right.
just not enough. Nothing's enough.
Yeah, but that brings me back to what I usually say. Like, women don't know what they want. They don't really know what they want.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because they can say, "Hey, I want a man who's going to be, it's going to give me provide financial security, who's going to be there for me, in whatever capacity." And literally, they could be asking for all of those things. Like, literally, this woman was like that. I was the exact thing that she requested and asked for, and here I am. I can't, but still was incontent. Was not content.
Yeah.
Right. Was very ungrateful in ways, right? And in other ways, she was still. Let me say this: she was still pretty cooperative as a woman, right? So I didn't really get a whole lot of issues with me telling her to do something and her not doing it at all.
Okay.
But I can say that she didn't cook much. She didn't do a whole lot of cleaning, right?
Okay.
I'm taking care of my mother, so she's staying with me, so she's doing a lot of that stuff,
Okay.
right?
Wow.
And the girl don't stay with me anyway, right? But,
okay.
Not full time, but she's there a lot.
Right.
Enough to say where she might as well been living there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So my thing is that, still there's a level of discontentment, a level of not satisfied, not fulfilled. You know what I mean? And so that's the biggest thing that I'll be trying to understand it. And I think that it's just, you can't. You just got to understand what the woman responds to and not what the woman says or claims she wants.
There you go.
And then you got levels of immaturity within these women
I was going to say that.
who really don't deserve it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They can't even spot it. They don't even know what's going on. Um, I
Right.
think it's the mental stability of the person too. Some people just ain't stable. They, like
And emotional maturity.
right. Yeah, some people aren't stable enough to, even realize what's going on and, how
Right.
much they do have. And, um, it's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know many women like that. I don't know many women like that who's had that experience or else like they will still be with these people.
You would think so.
Yeah, because to me, I mean, if you're being satisfied, if the man's checking every box, um, everyone's gonna have small issues in relationships. Every day is not gonna be peachy keen. But you know, for the most part, the relationship is flowing. You're getting what you need. You're, giving him what he needs. And it's a flow. It's like, yeah, this is my partner. We doing this. So I can't relate to that.
So it's I think it's the biggest thing to take from it is that I really wanted to push more of a melanated or black love, and I love all communities of people, but specifically our community of people because we are the community of people who needs it the most.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm melanated, I'm black. I mean, I can't really speak on other cultures because I'm not a part of that culture. You know what I mean? I'm a part of his culture. So the biggest thing is that women who think about things on that level, right, and who um, are not receptive to what they know is good for them in that space, and they kind of just have an issue with, I guess, being bored.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that they're bored. Let's say they want more excitement. They want more arguments. Like you got to really understand your emotional maturity at that point.
They
So,
need a hobby.
all right. So yeah, I think the biggest thing is just identifying some of the issues, shed some light on it, so that we can be able to be more unified. And one of the biggest things, I met a young lady who told me about a relationship space that she was actually in, and what she said was is that she had a man that she was with who was considering her hand in marriage. She came into the relationship with the child, so he fulfilled the role of being the child's father. He fulfilled the role. He even adopted the little girl.
Oh wow.
And my thing is that when she told me about the space, she also went into the reason why they were struggling in their relationship.
Okay, which
What
one?
she said is that he had an issue, and that she was feeling neglected, right, in a relationship because I guess they weren't intimate enough or as often as she would have liked.
Okay.
Granted, he was always working, providing for her
Okay.
daughter, things like that. So he was pretty busy, a pretty busy guy.
Right.
So her response to him being busy and providing for himself, for her and her daughter, things like that, is that she went out and started to see other people. So she started messing around with some female, you know what I mean, and having sex with her, and then she started messing around with another guy, started having sex with him, and then the guy found out about it. So she said, and her excuse was always is that he was not doing certain things enough, right? He wasn't having enough sex with her, even though he was actually, having sex, it just wasn't as much as she would want it to be. Now, this woman didn't have to work. She didn't have to do anything.
Oh wow.
She was stay at home mom or whatever to a child that wasn't even his. And, this was her response to him making those provisions for her.
Hmm.
And she decided to to do that. That was her answer. No loyalty, no anything. But and she was up there in age. She was in her 30s and behaving in this way. But
yeah, because age doesn't have anything to do with that.
well, it does. Like if you are older, I would assume that you would have a little bit more wisdom.
Well, that's what you expect, but it's
Yeah.
not always the case. So if that's who you are at the core, that's who you're gonna be until you try. You change that, or you work on changing that. To me, I mean, if they were intimate at all, maybe it sounds like she may have a sex addiction. But I'm not gonna diagnose her right here today, because I don't know the story you do. But
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Why not take? There's plenty of like classes and conversations that can be had, and from what I know, men love sex. So I don't think your man would be mad at you if you had a discussion or wanted to work on ways to have more sex. I don't think that will be an issue.
it all depends on how busy he is, but it's still a sense of maturity,
Right.
the needing to have, I guess, seeking attention,
Right.
to seeking behavior,
Right.
and things along those lines, because that's what creates a bad space, right? Is a woman who comes into it not fully mature emotionally, not understanding boundaries, and setting boundaries for not only for herself but for others.
Right.
These are some of the things that honestly is the biggest problems that men face when it comes to women. Is women who are, like I said, emotionally immature, not setting proper boundaries for herself and others, and respecting his boundaries and respecting him as a man. So even though they may have it all, they still choose to make poor decisions, and then that man goes on to other relationships, and then he's hanging on to that particular issue and applying it because he wants to be sure that he found somebody who's worth giving all that to. You know what I mean?
All over again.
It's just, yeah, absolutely. Not to mention that this chick was actually missing a hand on top of everything. She was missing one hand.
Oh wow.
And so she just had a lot going on. And I think it's from birth, and it's not funny or anything like that, but she just had a lot going on for her to be behaving in the way that she was, ungratefully, right?
Right.
So that's the biggest thing. All right, so honestly, men, you gotta really keep a lot of those things in mind. Just move safely, right? Try to do the best you can to find the best woman that you can, and if she happens to be melanated or black, then even better. You know what I mean? But don't completely exclude them. Don't count them out just yet. Find you somebody you can be able to build with. Of course, you're gonna have a strong partner, as as we're explaining to you, and as Sarah is somebody who's capable of handling the type of man that you are, because you're an amazing guy. Don't let nobody tell you nothing outside of that. And when women, of course, you're capable, and you're amazing women. So let's go ahead and step into that particular mindset and what we know that we truly are, right? Rise above what society wants us to be and be better to one another. You got anything else to say?
No, you touched on everything. I agree.
Okay.
Let's be better people.
Better.
Breed better people.
Absolutely. So, as always, we just want to shed a little bit of light on everything, because light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. This is your host, and we are out. We'll see you the next one, all right? Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe, all right, for more content like this.
Peace.
Peace and shalom.